Am I the a-hole for laughing at what my coworker said when I thought it was a joke? Myself and another manager, Joe, at our workplace, both of us approximately same age and men, were talking with one of our employees, Ryan, about the plans for next week. Joe has a dry sense of humor and says a lot of jokes deadpan. As we were wrapping up, Joe told Ryan to do a task for him and Ryan responded, "Sure." Joe then said with a straight face, "No, don't say sure, you say yes." I thought that this was a kind of weird joke and laughed a little. Ryan just said yes and went about his way. After this, Joe asked me why I laughed, and I said I thought he was making a little joke about being picky with responses. Joe said it's not picky, explaining that I told him to do something. It's a command from his manager, not a request. By saying sure, he is treating it like it's a request and like he has discretion on his part. By saying yes, he's showing he understands he needs to follow orders. He then told me that it was rude for me to laugh at what he said in front of our employee. I sort of see where he's coming from in that sure sounds more casual, but it seems super uptight on his part to react that way. I did not apologize for laughing at what he said and don't feel I owe him one. Not the a-hole. Joe is, though. It's not a command. Ryan has a choice. He is allowed to say no if he wants to. May get him fired, but that's part of the choice. Honestly, if I was Ryan, this sort of micromanagement would have me on Indeed the next day. Who needs the crap for an obviously minimum wage job? I would suck it up until I could get out of there. Next story. Am I the a-hole if I refuse to return a piece of furniture a family member gave me? I received a piece of old furniture from a great aunt. It's a dark oak armoire. She said it belonged to her brother. She didn't need it, etc. I asked if she minded if I painted it. I know, controversial to paint antique furniture so that it matched my living room. She said do whatever I wanted. So, I sanded. I replaced the hardware. I painted it. I even painted little flowers and butterflies all over it. I put close to $200 of work into it. I showed her the final product and she said it was super cute. She loved it, etc. Then, a few days later, called me and said, "Younger cousin absolutely loves it. Can we give it to her and I'll get you a gift card to buy a new one?" I said no. I put weeks of work in. I put money into it. She says I'm being selfish since it was technically an heirloom. But she gave me permission to do all of the work to it. I did offer to consider painting a piece of furniture for cousin, but she wants this armoire. It's causing tension in the family now. Am I the a-hole? What? No. It being an heirloom is irrelevant. It was gifted to you. That's the end of the matter. Not sure who's nervier, cousin for deciding that she wanted it after you transformed it, or aunt for failing to understand that she relinquished control over it when she gave it to you. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, she gifted it to you and it is yours. Sounds like younger cousin is a spoilt brat. Opie replies, "She's usually a surprisingly down-to-earth girl, so it is a bit of a surprise, lol." Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my roommate no, she can't have the larger bedroom, put her desk in the living room, and use extra common storage for only $50/month more than me? I'm moving into a new apartment in a few weeks with a roommate. The apartment has 2 bedrooms and the rent is $2,600. One room is a little bigger and has more closet space, and my roommate and I are trying to figure out who gets which room and how to split rent in a way that feels fair. Edit, because some people are confused. I expressed initially that I thought a $100 difference for the room sizes seemed fair and that I was willing to take either room and wanted to hear her thoughts. This is how the conversation today began. She's saying she really needs more storage and is worried about storage and fitting all of her stuff, suggesting she wants the bigger room, that it should only be $50 more than the other one, but she also wants to put her desk in the living room to work there. I already told her I'm not comfortable with that because I would feel like I'm disturbing her if I needed to cook or relax in the shared space while she needs quiet or is in a meeting. I also told her I think the bigger room should cost $100 more because it has more space and a larger closet. She came back and said she thinks the rent should only be a $50 difference and she still wants to have her desk in the living room, and kept implying that her stuff wouldn't fit and she may need to use more of the shared hallway storage than me too. To me, that just feels really unbalanced and is way more than I would try and ask for personally. She's getting the bigger room, an extra separate workspace outside of her room, and taking over more of the shared space, all for barely more rent. My two biggest priorities are one, having a decent-sized room where I can study privately since I'm starting a very intense academic program, or two, feeling like I can use the shared spaces without walking on eggshells or constantly worrying about being too loud. I suggested two options that I think are fair. Option 1. She takes the smaller room, we split rent evenly, and she can use the hallway storage to make up for the closet size difference and put her desk in the living room. Option 2. She takes the larger room, pays $100 more or $50 more if I get the single parking lot spot, and the shared spaces stay neutral, no desk, we split the hallway storage equally, and everyone can use the space whenever. I'm not being stubborn about the money, and I honestly would be happy to pay $1,400 and $1,200 if the common spaces were shared evenly and I had the larger room. I just don't want to end up in a situation where I feel resentful or like I don't have space to breathe. I've tried to compromise, but it feels like she's pushing for everything she wants without really taking my needs into account. Am I the a-hole for holding firm to these compromise options and telling her no? Edit. Had to make a few minor edits because people felt that I had somehow demanded my roommate take the larger room and pay more right off the bat or something, which was not the reality of our conversation. Throughout the entire discussion, I maintained on multiple occasions that any deal we came to, I would be happy to reverse and take myself, and I stated this with explicit clarity. I said this purely because it is how I was raised, that fairness and equality is an essential value, and that trying to take an unequal amount from something at the detriment of someone else is not only disrespectful but immoral. I hoped she might see that she was not taking the same approach and that things were uneven and a compromise was needed, but she does not have similar values. Update. Thank you all for all of your support, advice, and stories over the past 24 hours, Reddit family. You helped give me the bravery to find a way out of this situation, which as of last night I didn't think would even be possible. My mom, who had not signed yet as my required guarantor, agreed with everyone on here that the dynamic was really bad and that she and I would both be on the line for a really bad situation if we moved forward. She and I contacted the property manager this morning to let her know that my mom would no longer be willing to sign as guarantor, and the property manager notified us that our approval for the lease has been removed. I know it will be hell trying to find affordable housing in time for school, and especially in that area. But the red flags were there, and my gut, and all of your comments, told me what needed to be done. If she's using the living room as her work-from-home office, she's effectively taking over 2 out of 3 rooms in the house. I get it. It sucks no one wants to have their workspace in their bedroom, but that's what happens when you rent and you're in a share house. Bigger room, desk in that room for her. No extra cost to smaller room, and car spot permanently no extra cost. You both have a decent benefit. Though I'd argue the parking spot is worth more than a bigger bedroom. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, did you by chance already sign the lease? If not, immediately find a new roommate. She will continue to try and take advantage. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not sharing my food with my in-laws? Edit. My mother-in-law is retired in her 70s. She moved into our basement late last year due to needing to downsize because his father passed recently. She's not paying rent, which we are fine with. We do not eat all together, only on occasion when I want to cook a very big meal or she offers to come up and cook something. Hope this clears things up. I 24F grew up with 2 sisters, so of course I was constantly forced to share everything, especially food, with them. My husband, 27M, was an only child. We live with his mom for the moment, and what bothers me the most, every time I bring home fast food or any other food for myself or the both of us, he offers it to his mother. I wouldn't have an issue picking up something for her as well, but when he goes and offers something I bought for myself that I was excited to eat, it irks me a little bit. Well, recently I was really craving Italian food. Stuffed shells, to be exact. My husband and I agreed to go pick up something from the local Italian place and bring it home to eat. Well, we get home and he instantly offers his mother some of our food, but this time I protested and said she can have some of his dish because I wanted mine for myself. He immediately got an attitude with me and said I wasn't going to eat it, all the dish only had 2 large stuffed shells, and told me I was being stingy. His mom, I guess, kinda read the room and said she would just have some of his. He then doubles down and basically tells her to take the other shell from my plate and puts it on her plate for her. This was really irritated me because I then ended up still hungry after because half my dinner was given to his mom. He offered some of his to me, but he knew I didn't like what I got. To conclude, am I the a-hole for not wanting to share my food with her, and was I being stingy? He really took food off your plate after you said no? That's wild. Not the a-hole at all. Not the a-hole. If your husband is going to offer food to a third person, he has to buy 3 people's worth of food. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom she's not my kid's mom? Throw away because I just want a verdict and to be done with it. So for background, I 28F and my husband 30 meters have 2 kids. 7 meters and 4F. My mother is actually a great-grandmother. She lives the kids and is very helpful, but she has this habit overstepping. So both our kids do chores. We give them things to do that they're capable of doing. Like my son does the dishes sometimes after dinner. My daughter will help set and clean up the table afterwards. Those kinds of things. My mom came to visit us recently, and I've been noticing she's doing this thing. She stops my son from whatever chore he's doing and does it for him, but if she sees my daughter doing something, she won't. At first, I thought she just didn't want her grandkids to do work because she often calls me a cold mother for making them do chores, but then I figured out the pattern and it rubbed me the wrong way because I remembered she used to do the same thing to me. My brothers would do nothing while I did everything, so I started correcting her and making my son finish his chores himself, which made her really agitated. Yesterday, we were having dinner and my daughter and husband were clearing up the table because it was my son's turn to do the dishes. She tried stopping him, but I told him to the dishes and took her outside. She told me I'm so cold for making my son wash dishes and why couldn't I do it? I explained to her that we like to split chores evenly in the house, and if he's capable, he should. It was like 5 plates and cups and a few spoons. She kept going, and she called me lazy, something she would often do whenever I asked my brothers to help me out with chores. Here's where I may be an a-hole. I told her she's one to talk after making me clean up after everybody my whole life. I told her I'm not going to enable my son to be seeking losers like her sons. My little brother literally had to be spoon-fed until he was 10 because he refused to eat if my mom didn't feed him. I was apparently ill-treating my son by making him do all these chores. I told her I'm teaching him to be independent and that she may have raised 2 boys, but she's not my kid's mom, so she should FCK off when I'm trying not turn my son into an incompetent a-hole. She left crying. My dad called and told me she's moping around. My husband says it was deserved, but he really doesn't like my mother because he's seen over the years how she treats me compared to how she treats my brothers. Did I go too far and any advice is appreciated? Thank you. I don't think you went too far. I think your son will appreciate learning how to be a capable person. Your daughter will appreciate being treated fairly. Rock on, Mom. You've got this. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my colleague borrow my charger after she's kept 2 of mine before? At work, I usually keep a phone charger at my desk because my battery dies quickly. In the past, a colleague has borrowed my chargers and then forgotten to return them. Twice I've had to go to her desk and ask for them back, and both times they came back weeks later looking worn out. Yesterday, she came over again saying her phone was at 5% and asked to use my charger just for a bit. I told her I'd prefer not to lend it because the last 2 times I didn't get mine back quickly. She rolled her eyes and said I was making a big deal over a simple charger and that I should learn to be more generous. Now a couple of people in the office think I was being petty, but I feel like I'm just setting boundaries after being taken advantage of. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. My charger stays with me. If you need to charge your phone, guess the phone stays with me, too. Next story. Am I the a-hole for using professional language on an email I sent on behalf of my husband? My 30F husband, 43M, accepted a new job, and as part of that job, he needed to sign a consent form to send to his new employer so they could complete some type of background check or related thing. He tried to send this email a few times, and it would not go through. He asked me if I would send it, and I said I would. So I drafted the following pasted email. Attached here too, please find the executed consent form for my husband. Thank you, my name. I CC'd my husband on the email because he asked me to. 30 minutes go by and I get a text from him. OMG. What kind of overkill email was that? This was yesterday, so today I am at work and I get another series of texts from him where he says essentially that he is completely embarrassed by me, that my email was inappropriate to send to his new employer. He said that he wants to retire from this job and my language was some kind of Tom Clancy book out of colonial times. He said I overcomplicated it tenfold, and this is why he never asks me for help. He said every time I am involved, I try to sabotage him, and he regrets it. Update. When he asked me to send the PDF, we were on the phone, and I read to him what I was typing and asked if it sounded okay, and he said yes. Update. I work in the legal field, so this is professional for what I do for a living. He claims I'm the a-hole for how I sent the email. Am I the a-hole for the language I used in my email? Not the a-hole. The email was awkward. I'm a lawyer and I still use plain English. Please find the attached consent form signed by my husband. Would have sufficed. But holy F, did your husband overreact? No one who saw it cares. They just want the form on file. Your husband sounds like he has anxiety and thinks people focus on him more than they probably do. Your husband is Ta in this story. What the hell is this? I want a divorce crap. How terrible. I would never say this to my wife unless I want a divorce. There's no real taking that back. If that's how he treats you, your email is the least of his problems. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel our posts.